startup ecosystem, what the idea is that you have to learn how to pitch your idea clearly and concisely. And once you learn how to do that, then you can bring in all the stakeholders and you can get into programs that'll help you and train you on how to build it. But that first step is you have to design a business model that is desirable.
When I initially moved back to Pensacola, I had a meeting with Lloyd. Lloyd invited me for breakfast and I was telling him, man, I still have an idea for the entertainment industry. This is what I wanted to do. He was like, all right, I got Startup on the Blocks. So I need you to start coming to Startup on the Blocks and get a little more information on how to work through the tech ecosystem and take your idea and we'll get you where you need to go. My company is called The Know, is an app that is streamlining business for the entertainment industry. Yeah, so if you're a musician, what you would do is pretty much jump on the platform, you'll create a profile, but the way we created the profile is pretty much a cleaner way. So now if they want more information about you, you'll connect your social media platforms, your streaming platforms, and that way they can go directly to it. What we also have included is your calendar. So pretty much you can set your days, you can set your price for your days and automate your booking. So initially talking to Lloyd, my idea was all here, it was there, it was over here, it was over there. It was like, all right, Quinn, I get it. You got a lot that you want to do, but we need you to bring it in just a little bit and then work on your pitch, your story, and how you're going to bring it full circle to get people to understand what you're trying to create.
Most of the programs here wasn't inclusive, and so we said we'll focus on helping founders of color. We also start at the beginning of the thing, at the idea stage, whereas a lot of the programs you see here locally, they start after you're up, and that's not very efficient unless if you don't have a lot of money, you can't recover from your mistakes. And the lean startup system, it actually helps you make mistakes faster before you spend a lot of money. You don't actually start building anything until you got customer buy-in.
There was a need for small businesses to bring brand awareness to their business. I see there's a lot of makers and bakers that they're making all of these goodies and these products, but they can't market it, they can't sell it at the same time, and there needs to be kind of like that middleman, that middle person to help bring economic growth to some of the small businesses in Pensacola. So Taste of Pensacola, I came up with that idea during the pandemic when I saw things at that time that Amazon couldn't fulfill. They didn't even have those products, but the local people in the community, they did. And so there was a ton of people coming out saying, hey, I make masks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All the local people here that are just as talented that can actually make those products. And so I wanted to kind of showcase who they were. So with Taste of Pensacola, our income streams, we have several of them. We have the corporate America, we do corporate gifting, just regular consumers, different Pensacola natives that don't live here that want to purchase our boxes, like a taste of weddings, distribution. So we also do bulk sales. So for a private airline, if they want some local snacks and goodies on their passenger flights, they will come to Taste of Pensacola and we will source their vendors here locally. And we'll give a small business owner an opportunity to have reoccurring monthly sales. I've always had a really big vision for Taste of Pensacola. I knew that it could go beyond just local. I know that maybe other communities could possibly use the same platform that I'm trying to build. And I always have these big visions, but I never know how to even get there. Where do I start? I know it's more than, there's a lot of technical things behind it. I know there's a lot of research, but that connection, I never had it until, thankfully, I met and was introduced to Startups on the Blocks and was able to just learn more about how to grow it in terms of data. Things I just never thought about, framework, words like traction. There's a lot of things that I just did not know about and language that I need to know in order to get funding for my business. There's just a lot that I didn't know.
I would go to the stores and look online. They didn't have a wide variety of natural hair products about 8 years ago. And the ones that they did have, the ingredients, it would say that they were all natural. And when I would research the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients were not natural. I make everything, my shampoo, conditioner, I have an oil that I make, and I have 2 different separate butters. Like I had some people who were completely bald and grew their hair. It's about giving women their confidence back in their hair. I have this salon and I have a second salon, and I have my products in about 5 beauty supply stores. So I need a manufacturer to keep up with the demand at this point. Startup on the Blocks has helped my business grow, send me to different people. I'm able to do different pitch competitions to apply for grants in the community for small businesses. Lloyd's a really good person to connect with. He has a lot of resources here in the community that can help small businesses grow. If you have a product out there and you're trying to go big time, he's the person that you would want to meet with.
So it's really important to have some type of support because 9 times out of 10, most founders start out on their own. And to have somebody that has an idea of how the ecosystem works and is able to tap into other resources and bring back to the community, and that pretty much has encountered some of the roadblocks or going through the same roadblocks that we're currently going through and understands where you're at, your culture and how you respond to things, is a big help because you don't really have too many people that have access to what we have access to here in the community. And a lot of people believe that you have to leave and go to bigger cities to do the things that we're doing here. But I mean, it's one thing to have exposure, but you have to actually know it's here in the community in order to take advantage of the resources. So I get approached and I talk to friends all the time that wants to either start an idea or hear that I'm actually doing the app and wants to know more information about how are you doing it or what's the process, what's the path. I'm like, man, we have somebody here, Startup on the Blocks, Lloyd Richard. And Lloyd is here, he's a great resource to the community and to founders that's trying to learn the ecosystem. So join Startup on the Blocks.
Yes, join Startup on the Blocks. Yeah, we're here for another Thursday evening, Startup Founder Best Practices. We just had a neat networking session, and feel free to join in on that at 6 o'clock Central Time in the future. It's just a time to chat with other founders and kind of ask questions and kind of get caught up. And so we're here for you. So just make sure you check it out. And so today I'm going to be doing a AMA, and I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Ask me anything session here. And so we've been running with the Lean Stack program, the Startup Science program, for quite a while now. And so I think it's a good idea to just review sometimes, because founders do have questions about this entrepreneur startup ecosystem and all the entrepreneur startup support organizations. So there's a lot of help out here, but sometimes you still get lost. So we here at the Kukui Institute, we like to use, our foundation thing is the Lean Stack program and the Startup Science. And the reason why we do the Lean Stack, because it's all about stress testing your business idea and designing a scalable business model for your idea. And we'll review that for a minute. But it's a really good foundation for any founder. Most founders have built a lean canvas before, or a business model canvas, but when I ask them about how do you know if it's scalable or not, and I get a blank stare most of the time. And how do you know how to stress test your lean canvas, for each of the customer segments? I get a blank stare. So, and then if I say, well, how do you know that your pricing model for your business model is viable? And so I get a blank stare. And so the Lean Stack platform, it provides the tools for you to stress test your business idea, but it also, within that, it also gives you the ability to design a scalable business model. And so I've been using the Lean Stack, I guess, probably about 12 years, but back in the early days, Ash didn't have a training platform. I didn't have all these tools that's in the platform now. And so that's kind of what the difference is. And so the tools to stress test your business model for desirability, viability, and feasibility. So I went through Ash's level 1 business model design coaching training. Then I went through the level 2 demand validation coaches training, and last year uh, me and two of our other coaches went through the level 3 coaching. So for the growth part of your startup phase, and so it's been a long journey trying to figure all this stuff out, and then even longer journey trying to figure out how to communicate the stuff to founders to kind of help them out. And what I found is that creating some prompts to help the founders get started. And so we created a business idea prompt that sort of takes you through a lot of the stuff that's in the Lean Stack Business Model Design class, and so that helps out a lot with getting started and trying to understand some of the stuff. And then uh, probably beginning of the year or late last year, um, we learned through our founders and Tony that we should pay attention to Notebook LM, and so we learned, found out that can actually help the founders understand anything. So we started leveraging that, and that's really been insightful to kind of break down these principles and get to the bottom of those things. And started off with just a podcast feature of that. And what I loved about the podcast feature, I could dump the results of my business idea prompt into that and have a discussion with the AI speakers about my business model. So that was pretty neat. Uh, and then yeah, so it's a very useful tool. It's just, and you can also chat with the stuff that the large language model generate and ask it questions as well. So it's a valuable tool. That's Notebook LM. And then when we get into the 90-day thing, when you try to validate the demand for your business idea or your product or service, um, the the yeah, that's a challenging part, because you have to understand how to develop validate the demand for your product or service, and then you have to learn how to generate the customer forces from interviewing people that's recently purchased something similar to what you are building. And that's magical once you get those customer forces stories and jobs to be done stories. And as the platform streamlines that, makes it simple, and I'll show you that. And then it's got the customer forces AI tool. Now it generates all the customer forces stories, and the jobs be done just from, you can do as few as 10 to 15 interviews and understand your different customer segments, and 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 what kind of causes them to switch from what they're already using to what you're using, and jobs to be done stuff. But it's so neat, because once you do that, now you can design or package your solution around that information, and once you got that done, then you can develop an offer to sell your product before you build it. And it's just a neat process, to take your business idea through. It is challenging, but we also found out that, um, and talking to Tony earlier today in networking, the so it's like, these large language models, they know so much, and it's pretty interesting that the kind of information you can actually get out of them. And then now with the evolution of all these vibe coding tools, everything is like really interesting, and it makes it a lot easier for founders. But you have to take time to network with other founders to kind of learn this stuff. We're here every Thursday to answer your questions. um, have office hours every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. So, if you really want to learn, and we can help you learn. And we've been also developing AI tools. So, like when you stress testing um, your your pricing model for each customer segment with the traction roadmap tool, you you sometimes, if when you're first introduced to that, it you're not sure, how to interpret if it's viable or not, that pricing model is viable. And so it's a little challenging getting that stuff thrown at you. So we develop a prompt, and also some applications, some agents that actually can take your traction roadmap information, with your customer factory, your traction roadmap, and to print out what you need to do each month to reach your goal, and evaluate that. So we have a suite of tools to help you out. So if you're um, struggling or just want to get involved, and we make the stuff available to everyone, so that there's kind of like to take away all the excuses. I guess I could say it like that. But anyway, so today I wanted to kind of review some of that stuff, and we also partner with Startup Science, and that has a lot of resources in it. So we make that available to founders as well. So, and my objective in all this is for a founder to have all the knowledge that is needed to kind of journey through the stages, the milestones of their startup, and the phases of their startups. And that's kind of the purpose of that. So these things are available to you. It's just a matter of engaging. And we've been um, hosting all these demo days for people who go through the 30-day training. And in the past, since uh, uh, end of 2022, we've done a dozen or more, close somewhere between a dozen and and 18 demo days, where we've given out money for each one of those demo days. So we're actually, helping people get started, but also helping people that are already started to help them grow. And so, and I hear people, like we had in our last cohort 6 we just finished up last week. We had a nonprofit out of the Orlando area was one of the winners, and we had uh, a new idea for eyeglass um, company. They won $1,000, and we had an early stage with Lamonomics. They was kind of more like this fit the startup profile, but our sponsors allow us to offer training to anybody, no matter what business you have. And people always say, well, thinking the training that we do doesn't apply to any business. It actually does. And so people count themselves out without even realizing that this training is useful. It doesn't really matter what type business you have. So let's see some of these partners and sponsors, and here's some of them are. And like I said, we have the platforms that you can get access to at no charge. We have the partnerships that give you free software, at no charge. We have, you know, like PitchBob. That's an AI thing that's got that develops all your documents to get you started. That does cost, but it's like less than $50. So yeah, and so there's a lot of things going on, and through some of these other partners, we learn here at the Kukua Institute, so we can pass the information on. And through the Black Innovation Leaders of Florida, we have the IP thing. So if anybody here in the state of Florida needs a trademark, you should reach out to me. because we potentially can get you your trademark paid for through the Black Innovation Leaders of Florida. And so I say if definitely reach out to me ASAP, for that. So if you need to trademark something, and also even if you need to patent something, we have a few patent ability to get your patent applied for through the Patent Acts program. So yeah, so those are kind of partnerships we have, and these are some more sponsors and partners that provide money to kind of help us through the programs. Big shout out to them. So we've been here for 5 years, and lost track of all the sessions we did. We only missed one of these sessions in the last 5 years, 2 or 3 months, and so yeah, 240 something, sessions. So we're committed to be here, and so it's just a matter if you want to learn. So we're here to help you learn. And so our whole thing is, we can get you through the process, of designing, pitching, and launching your business models. We can help you recruit other co-founders, and we got mentors and tell you, and you can leverage our partners as well. But all this stuff, in order to get these co-founders and these people to help you build what you're trying to build, you got to have exciting business model. A lot of people try to do business models that don't require any innovation. If you do a business model that doesn't require any innovation, people are not going to get excited about it. So you have to you have to come up with an innovative idea that in order to get people to use whatever you're building, because you're going to have to, they're already using something, and you're going to have to get them to switch from what they're using, and that's not easy. So, and the Lean Stack teaches you how to do that. And so if you're a startup founder and you don't know which phase of the startup life cycle you're in, we can help you understand that. If you don't know which milestones you need to reach in order to move forward, we can help you with that. But all of that I just said is the key to unlocking all the resources in the startup ecosystem. It's right there, because when you engage with these entrepreneur support organizations, these pitch competitions, these accelerator programs, these pre-accelerator programs, you have to apply, and you have to know how to describe your business model. That's just the bottom line. So yeah, so these are some of the programs we offer, and like I mentioned, the IP Launchpads through Black Innovation Leaders of Florida. Yeah, so it's a process. The startup ecosystem, it helps you, when you first start thinking about an idea. So you don't have to wait till you launch a product or service to get help. That's the mistake so many founders are making. And so I just want to make sure people understand the process starts the minute you get an idea in your head, and the minute you start working on it, you become a founder. And the minute you become a founder, you can access the resources in the startup ecosystem. But the startup ecosystem requires you to learn to speak the language of the startup ecosystem. And so that's the thing you got to remember, and it gets you through all of these phases. And this is Startup Commons. So if you look at startup, go to YouTube, startupcommons.org. It has a whole training program to help you understand how to get from this -2 to scale, and it's free. So, and it's on YouTube. So stuff is out there. But what I like about the Startup Commons is it starts off with teaching you about innovation, because innovation is about causing a switch, to get people to switch from doing something one way to get to using to another solution that actually helps them do it. So you have to, everybody's got a mind, everybody is blessed with a brain, and your brain helps you be creative. And so you just have to learn what innovation is and how to do it. Yeah. So we were talking about go to market and the networking just a little bit ago, but the startup science, it looks at things in this way. So it looks at it where you have an idea and you develop a vision for it, and so, but it's all with the idea that you're planning an exit in the future. But the deal here is it's actually teaching you the best practices starting at the idea stage. And so, for whatever your idea is, you start thinking about, you know, um, which company will potentially buy you out. So it's just a way to think to kind of get you through all these stages, so you can actually do the right thing at the right stage. I'm going to show a video in a minute, but yeah, so you, it's literally about knowing what to do when, because if you at this product stage and you're trying to go to market, or you're trying to do standardization, that's not going to work. If you're at the vision stage and you're trying to do go to market, that doesn't make any sense. So you have to know where you are to know what you need to do. And what I like about Greg in this course and this program is he had went through 12 exits totaling billions of dollars, and he learned what you do in each one of these things so you can have that exit. And so that's why that's why that program is so powerful. And the lean stack, and Ash is actually updating this chart here, but it's related to these milestones. So when you get through designing and stress testing your business model, you have what is called founder business model fit, and then when you get through with validating demand, you have what is called problem solution fit. But the goal is trying to get to this product market fit. But there's a lot of things you have to do. We were talking about go to market, and in the lean stack, that's after you learn how to get repeatable sales with a few customers, and then you kind of proceed to that starting to scale up, more. Yeah. So yeah, it's a challenge, but it's a process, and it's actually worth learning the process. So just to kind of set the stage for the rest of tonight, and feel free to put your questions in the chat, because right now we're taking some founders through the 90-day program. So if you have any questions about that, or any questions about resources, anything, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll be glad to address them. But yeah, that's, I wanted to kind of let you know a little bit about the foundation there. Yeah, it's really great. So we have, let's see what we got here. Somebody's on YouTube. So let me see what this question is. We put it out here on the screen. How would or could these principles apply to a service-oriented startup instead of a product or production? So the number one thing that people make this mistake about, this process applies to, you can build a business model for any business. It doesn't matter if it's a service or a product. And so all these principles that are being taught, they can apply to any business, because any business is run on numbers. And so lean stack is about modeling your business through numbers. And so don't let somebody fool you that you can't leverage these principles, because I was just at a conference last weekend. The lady that was doing it, she wanted to do small batch manufacturing, like in downtown Pensacola. And so she said, you can small towns can set up these things where people who make stuff, they can they can the cities can set up stuff that allow them to manufacture their products, and people can come in and buy them. But what she said was they took the principles from the startup world to apply them there. And I'm literally telling you, and I get this all the time. People says this doesn't apply to them. You have all these preconceived notions about this only applies to software startups. It doesn't apply to hardware startups. It doesn't apply to retail places. You're making a big mistake, because the fundamentals, apply to, of course, different industries, have different unit economics. But the bottom line is, these principles, they apply. Yeah. But I appreciate that. It's a great question. And so, sort of related to that question, I've run into this a lot. Um, People don't engage with what we're doing because they say, well, it's only for tech businesses, or their business is not a tech business, and so they don't engage. But they don't realize if um, these same principles apply, but the technology is what enables your business to grow and scale. If you can't automate your product now, so like, yeah, you may not be a candidate for venture capital, but you still can apply these principles to your business. And I'll show you one of the simple things you can do that applies to any business, and it's that traction roadmap tool. It literally applies. You can use that with any business. So, how can AI help in the ecosystem? Does AI help us even faster in the ecosystem? So that's a good question too, Carlos. The the AI can definitely help you learn about the ecosystem and what the ecosystem is. And so yeah. So like you can go to like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, the chat from Mistral, any of these tools, and just ask, are you familiar with the startup ecosystem, and how AI is used in the startup ecosystem? Yes, so that's using the large language models to do that. But the like with startup. What one of our partners, Make Startups, they use AI to help you learn how to answer questions. When you fill out an application for a pitch competition, or when you fill out an application uh, for whatever. That's part of the startup ecosystem. I'm not sure if I totally answer your question there, but the way the ecosystem works is. Uh, and I'll put the chart back up here. Well, I think I may have another chart. I'll put it back and see if I can find it before I put it up there. Maybe I don't have it in this thing here before. I was trying to see if I had it before I put it up there. I was thinking I'd find it and put it up here. So let me do a quick search here. Any other questions while I'm looking for this chart I want to show? I kind of show it pretty often, so let's see. But I'll talk about it as I look for it here. The way the ecosystem works, and I thought I had it in my briefing here, but I don't see it. But I'll pull up another thing here in a second, because I don't see it in here. Okay, but the way the ecosystem works is it 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 has it starts with when you're at the idea stage. So we as in Kukua Institute, we work with founders at the beginning stage, and the lean stack, it applies to people at the idea stage, or people who are already up and running, but they want to grow their business. Okay, so but I'm going to, Carlos, I'm going to go into a little more detail here. So and I like using this chart to show this, and it's worth, if you just kind of absorb what I'm getting ready to tell you, it'll tell you the whole purpose of why I do this startup founder best practices. So this is a complicated chart, and it's a chart about raising money, but you just ignore that part for now. But when you this beginning here is the idea stage. And so this is when you just haven't, well, even if you have the whole idea is you want to model, develop a business model for your business, because without, you have a business model whether you want to or not. So there is a business model. You can go to ChatGPT and say, tell it any website and just say, well, what is the business model for this website? And it will explain the business model of that website. You can tell it develop a lean canvas for that, based on that business model of that website. But that's the bottom line. But so the reason for the business model is when you want to get help for your business, you have to pitch your business model. You have to pitch how you make money with your product or service. And at the idea stage, you don't have a physical software product or service. All you have is your business model. So your business model becomes the product to get you to help to go from this idea where you have nothing but an idea, and you go through that business model design training to learn how to stress test that idea and have confidence about that idea, and so you can pitch it clearly and concisely at the end of this green point here. But if you notice, this profit line is way below zero, almost year and a half out here. So this is where you leverage the ecosystem to fill this money gap here. And so like, for example, and we're small potatoes. Uh, uh, we had 3 people that walked away with $1,000 last Thursday night. One, the eyeglass company, they haven't even, their business is not even formed yet, and so they're at this idea stage. But they did develop a business model for the idea and stress tested it somewhat. As a part going through the training, they got $1,000, and they're going to get $1,000. They're going to have to actually form their business with the state of Florida before they get the $1,000. But they've actually have won $1,000. And so, but we're part of the ecosystem, and so we're helping fill the gap. And we're just one of thousands of organizations that help fill this negative area here, this profit line. But the key to unlock all these resources is your business model, and that's what makes the lean stack so important and powerful. You pitch your business model, how you make money with your business model, so you can get the help you need. And if you remember, but that's the way the ecosystem works. It doesn't care which stage you're at in your business. And I tell the story on my journey. I was down in Miami learning about the ecosystem down there, and met this lady. She said, our nonprofit works with startups that are making $5 to $10 million a year, and we help them scale to 100 million. So there's help along the journey, But if you don't learn the best practices like we're trying to teach, or trying to help you understand, you're not leveraging resources that are already there for you, and that's what's important. And so like with some of the funding that we get, like from Florida Power and Light, as long as you're in Florida, you can get help. This doesn't require you to be any kind of business or whatever. You can get help. So why keep thinking you got to be something else in order to get help? And like I said, we belong to the Black Innovation Alliance, and there's over 200 folks, organization there, and they all work with Black founders all over the United States. And yeah, it's just, yeah, and that's not even, a drop in the bucket for organizations that are out there helping founders. And then when you look at all the organizations, I mean, it's like unbelievable. Yeah. So I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to show you a video and so I'll give you the background about this video. And so so Ash Maurya, he has a book called Running Lean, and that's kind of what the 30-day business model design class is all about, and maybe a little bit of the 90-day as well. But then he has a book called Scaling Lean, and it's about this purple looking phase on the chart here. And so, like I said, Ash is updating a lot of these charts here, but this is trying to get to that product market fit. So it's kind of like the growth phase of your business. But the Scaling Lean, so I have a copy of the book, but Ash hasn't developed the training for that Scaling Lean, that growth thing yet. And so I just went on ChatGPT and said, "Are you familiar with the book Scaling Lean?" And then I had to do some deep research on the book. And so I took all of that information and from ChatGPT, and I dumped it over into Notebook LM, and had it create a podcast and a video. And so this is an edited version of the video it created. So I'm going to share with you. Let me stop sharing this screen real quick, and then put the video up there. So enjoy.
Honest to goodness system for growth. We're talking about moving beyond just hope and into a concrete, actionable plan. So this is the big question, right? It's the one that keeps founders up at night. You've got this amazing vision, you've got all the passion in the world, but what's the actual path from that great idea to, say, your first $1 million in recurring revenue? Well, I want you to forget about those 50-page business plans for just a minute, because the entire strategy, this whole journey, it can actually be reverse engineered from a single, surprisingly simple number. All right, first up, a startup's North Star. Before you can even think about building a map, you have to know exactly where you're going. You have to define the destination. And we define that destination with something called your minimum success criteria, or MSC. Just ask yourself this simple question. 3 years from today, what's the absolute smallest outcome that would make all this blood, sweat, and tears a clear, undeniable win? This isn't your wild lottery ticket dream. It's your real-world stake-in-the-ground baseline for success. So let's make this real. For a ton of startups, a really common MSC is $1 million in annual recurring revenue, or ARR. Just like that, the fuzzy dream becomes a tangible, measurable target. That right there, that's our North Star. And here's where the magic happens. We can actually work backward from that $1 million goal. $1 million a year? Okay, well, that could be 1,000 customers paying $100 a month. And to get those customers, you probably need a certain number of visitors coming to your site every single day. See that? A huge goal just got broken down into small, totally testable parts. So, section 2, your customer factory. We've got our destination. Now it's time to build the engine that's actually going to get us there. I want you to think of your business as a production line, but instead of making widgets, you're making happy customers. This process has 5 key stages, sometimes called pirate metrics because of the AARR acronym. First, there's acquisition, getting people in the door. Then, activation, making sure they have an awesome first experience. Retention is all about keeping them coming back. Revenue is, well, getting paid. And referral is the holy grail. When they love it so much, they tell their friends. And this is the real power of thinking of it like a factory. When you visualize the data, the bottleneck becomes painfully obvious. In this example, you can see tons of people are showing up, right? But very few are actually sticking around and having that aha moment of activation. Now you know exactly where you need to focus all your energy. Of course, every engine needs a dashboard. And for this, you've got the Customer Factory Scorecard. It's just a simple weekly check-in on your most important numbers. There's nowhere to hide, which is great because it keeps the whole team honest and focused on what's actually moving the needle. Okay, on to section 3, the traction roadmap. We've got the destination and we've built the engine. Now we need the map. Now, let's be clear. This is not another one of those fantasy financial forecasts that everyone gets excited about for one meeting and then immediately forgets. No, the traction roadmap is a living plan built on just 7 real metrics that come directly from your customer factory. That makes it a document you can actually use to make decisions every single week. What's great about this roadmap is that it forces you to focus. It breaks the marathon of building a company into a series of sprints. What's the one thing we have to do now to get some traction? What comes next to prove this whole model isn't just a fluke? And what can wait for later when we're actually ready to pour fuel on the fire and scale? Now, to actually execute this roadmap, you need a really specific mindset, especially when it comes to money. It's a philosophy called throughput accounting, and it completely shifts your focus away from just saving money and toward making money. Most businesses are constantly asking, where can we cut costs? But this mindset asks a totally different and way more powerful question. It asks, where can we invest $1 right now to speed up our customer factory and generate $10 down the line? It's all about maximizing the flow of value, not just obsessively plugging tiny leaks in the boat. All right, section 4, the 2-act story. When you zoom out and look at the big picture, you realize every single startup journey is really a classic 2-act play. First, you find a model that works, and then you scale it. And here is the critical mistake that so many startups make. They try to start Act 2 before they've even finished Act 1. Your only job in Act 1 is to find and validate a repeatable model that works, even at a small scale. That is it. Once you have a proven system, then you can move to Act 2 and start pouring gasoline on that fire. Okay, final section, putting it all together. You might be wondering, so how does this playbook fit in with other tools I'm supposed to be using, like a lean canvas or OKRs? Well, it's actually the system that connects them all. Just think of it like this. Your lean canvas is your hypothesis, your best guess. The traction roadmap we talked about, that's what adds the real numbers to test that hypothesis. And that big MSC goal, that $1 million, well, that becomes the big objective in your OKRs. And the metrics from your customer factory, those are your key results. See, this system doesn't replace those other tools. It makes them actually work together. So we've laid out the entire playbook, a destination, an engine, and a map to guide you. These tools give you the structure you need to turn all that ambition into a real system for growth. So the only question left, and it's the one that only you can answer, is, what's your destination?
Cool. So yeah, and this reminds me again, we were talking about it in the networking that that AI, these large language models, is they like this. I didn't even download anything from the Scaling Lean book, but if the ChatGPT was familiar with it, and so I took that information and dumped it over in a Notebook LM to kind of synthesize the information. So I want to share it. Does anybody have any questions about anything in that video? I'll be glad to answer them, and we'll pull up the lean stack thing here in a minute. But I did want to make a resource available to you also. I'll share my screen here and to make this available to you. Show you what I want to make available. Let's see, the whole screen. May share some video later. So yeah, so we've been going through our last 2 cohorts. We had cohort 5, and let's see here. I'm going to get to the top of this here real quick. So, and so we're through with the cohorts now. So I'm going to share this document. I'll put the link in the chat here so everybody can actually access it. The Zoom link is we're done with that now, but this particular document everything I've been talking about, it can actually help you with it. And I will update it some more as well. So this is mainly stuff about the 30-day program, but it's got some stuff in it about that can help you with the 90 day as well. So this link here, this business idea prompt, so you can this thing tells you how to make a copy of it and actually run it. And it's really powerful, and it takes you through the whole 30-day thing with your business idea. So if you just put your business idea in there and the industry, it'll generate most of the deliverables in the 30-day program in about less than 5 minutes. But if you have it to do deep research, which I advise, it'll take about 20 minutes. So when you're running ChatGPT or any of the other language models, just have it do it in a deep research mode, and it'll, dig more information on your thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it up just to kind of give you an idea of how powerful this prompt is. Let's see here, blow it up a little bit. So you, in the red area, you just put your business idea. It can be as simple as 2 or 3 lines, or it could be a whole document. The more details you give it, the better the prompt is going to work. And the industry, put that in red here. But I'll quickly try to go through this just to kind of help you. So like it takes the industry that you chose, and it identifies all the stakeholders in that industry and all their pain points that they have. And then it tells the business models that can be used to make money solving those pain points. So you get a pretty good idea of ways to make money from that. So that's what that does. And then it ranks all those business models, and takes the top 3 business models and combines them together, and then creates a lean canvas of that, including the existing alternatives and early adopter thing in the customer segment. But then for step 5 here, it develops a lean canvas or a business model for each customer segment. And then it creates a why now elevator pitch for each customer segment. And this is the template for the why now elevator pitch, which is used for testing for desirability. And then it ranks those to see the most desirable one. And then it does AI stress tests for viability and ranks those. And then the same thing for feasibility and ranks those. And then it creates the rollout plans for your business. And then it develops a 3-minute pitch. And if you want a longer pitch, you can change this from 3 minutes to something else if you like. So no big deal. And then this is the template for the business model story pitch. So it actually does that for you as well. And then it writes out the 3-minute pitch. But if you want to edit that and tell it to write you out a longer pitch, it can. So, but yeah, that's a really powerful tool. But then you can take the results of that and dump it over in the Notebook LM, then let Notebook LM create a podcast and explainer video, and then you can watch the explainer video, and then you can listen to the podcast, but you can ask the podcast questions and get feedback about your business idea. Now, like Tony and I were talking, and Carlos and Hassan and the networking, the crazy thing about these large language models, you could literally take the results of your business model prompt and ask ChatGPT to create a kind of product requirements document, or in essence a software specification for your solution. And then you can take that software, take that product requirements document that it creates, and dump that back over in the Notebook LM, and then listen to how it describes this solution that your solution, and see, so you can learn from that. So it's just really powerful. But ultimately, you could actually take that product requirement document and take it to one of the vibe coding tools and actually build, build your application out, without doing any coding. So yeah, it's really powerful. But what I wanted to do as it relates to the lean stack stuff is in the same document here, it we had workshops in cohort 5. So these are the videos from the workshops. But dig this, we took the transcript from the videos and and um, and created a podcast that you can listen to, and yeah, in some cases we also have the videos as well. But that cohort 5, I think at that time they didn't have the videos, and so that's why we don't have them here. But all this training is accessible to you from this document. Now, in the last cohort, we started doing we had some info sessions, so it's got the recording from the info sessions, and it's got the the podcast. See, the thing about these video things, they're like 7 minutes max. This video is 2 hours, but the 7 minute video explains everything we talked to, the audio podcast as well. So yeah, 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 it's so yeah, and so we had several sessions on that, and then um, I didn't add them here, but we had several follow-up sessions for pitch, and I'll add those to this document as well. But yeah, you got all this access to all this information, and yeah, if you just go through this, and if you don't already have access to the um, to the lean stack, we can get you access. Yeah, just reach out to me at lloyd@kakuainstitute.org. Or just Google my name. I'm all over the internet, and you can, on my LinkedIn profile, if you connect with me, yeah, it's there. Or you can go to our apply.kakuainstitute.org thing and just fill out that form, and we get you. Or you can go to the Kakua Institute website get started page. Either way, you can get access to that stuff. All right. Anybody have any questions about those resources? Yeah. So don't hesitate to ask. Any question. You know, yeah. Any questions. The number one thing I would tell you is, don't um, uh, don't assume this information can't help you. All of this information, it's it's yeah, it's powerful, and you can move forward. And one trick that I can also tell you after you run the business idea prompt, and this is part of what the 90-day program is about, is that you can, because in the 90-day you're I'll explain that. So in the 90-day, you're learning about the demand, how to validate the demand, and then you are uh, doing 2 sprints of one broad match where you interview 10 to 15 people that have recently purchased something in the last 90 days that's similar to what your product or service is, and record those interviews, 30 to 45-minute interviews, and then the customer forces tool, which is here. uh, it uh, it actually takes that information from the interview and develops the customer forces stories and the job to be done stories. But ironically, um, if based on your business model, the results of your prompt, if you ask ChatGPT, Gemini, or Perplexity, any of those tools, it would also generate customer forces story. They're not as detailed of what this tool here does, but and the jobs to be done. And from that, you can actually see what your solution needs to have in it in order to satisfy, those potential customers out there. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of what the deal is there. So what do I want to show? So I'm going to open this up real quick. And so Lean Stack, it has this thing for your lean canvas for your customer segment, unfair advantage channels, your revenue stream, cost stuff, um, high level concept, unique value proposition, solution, um, key metrics, existing alternatives and problems. So yeah, so it's a really neat tool to use. And then for each traction, each um, lean canvas, you can do a traction roadmap. And so this is to me, is the most powerful tool in the lean stack. Let me get rid of this. So uh, and they use those pirate metrics that was talked about in the in the video that I showed a little bit ago. So, but anyway, and this is, you remember it said you need to have a minimal success criteria. And so in this thing, the minimal success criteria was this, and this is, uh, so let's see. Yeah, I think no, I don't have much time. But anyway, it produces this customer factory. And the neat thing about the customer factory, this is what they were talking about in the video. And and you can, there's a customer factory template that you can actually download. We can provide you that for each week, you can keep track of the people that come to your website or whatever, or visit your store, and then you can just understand what's going on here. But the reason why this tool is so powerful is it takes your goal that you want to reach in 3 years. This number here, an example in the video was 1 million, and then the pricing, the way you do the pricing for your customers, does your customer spend $10 a year, $100 a year, $1,000 a year? But then, so this example would be something close to a customer spending $240 a year for 12 months, I guess would be. But so we just did it that way, 2-year lifetime, just to show some churn, referrals 10%, and on like that. But the neat thing about this, so this 3-year goal of 10 million in recurring revenue, what's neat about that, the traction roadmap works backwards to see what you need to do now in order to reach that goal in 3 years. And so, and then it prints it out what you need to do each month, in order to reach that goal. And so that's what's so neat about this. And then we have a prompt that, and also AI agent that can evaluate this to give you feedback on, whether this is a viable pricing model, and also gives you feedback on what you should do to change it or whatever. And so, yeah, so right now we try to take away all the excuses a founder might have, and kind of going through this. But what this thing does, it's in lieu of a like a 3 or 5 year chart of financials, because it's telling you what you have to do each month. If you can't do that, then that it's not viable. But so, like, when you do those financial projections, how do you know if you can actually do that? But this is telling you how many people you have to get into your sales funnel each month in order for you to make it. Yeah. All right. So somebody give me a question about anything. So anybody. So I guess I can mention this to kind of help people understand about the scalability part. So how do we make sure a business model is scalable? And so so what we do here, and these are the the pirate matrix, AARR matrix, matrix. And so we set a growth rate in there. So by setting this 10x growth rate, we are this business model for this product or service. We if we can, by setting it at 10x, that means it's going to grow at 10x each, grow at a 10x rate. And you can see that in the traction roadmap. So let me look over here. So if you notice at the 1 year mark, 1 year from now, you see this thing saying you're going to have 417 customers, but 1 year from then, you see you got 4,000 and some customers in the red here. So you see the next milestone here, and then at product market fit is doing another 10x. That's how you know your business model is scalable, and that's how you have a plan to actually see if it works. So yeah, ready. So any questions on that, anybody? Anything else anybody wants to see? I'll be glad to kind of explain it or whatever. Yeah, so I'll give my kind of takeaway and advice for founders. So everyone can use some help with their business, and so you need to learn about what type of help is available. And so the startup ecosystem is a bunch of organizations that have resources to help you with your business. And so that's one of the mindsets you have to. People are willing to help you with your business. You could think people want to steal your idea or whatever, but you have to, in order to get help, you have to let people know what you're trying to build so they can help you build it. And so the thing I would tell most founders is that idea is not worth anything until you build a business model around it. That's when it becomes valuable. And so that's kind of one takeaway I would give there. But if like now you have the AI, and the AI can answer almost any questions you have, but you have to know how to ask the question in order to get the help you need. So the challenge you have with AI is you don't know what it knows or what it can do. And so what I always tell anybody, say, ask the AI, are you familiar with this? Or if you, like the way I learned about AI with the lean stack was a lean canvas. I said I didn't know two and a half, 3 years ago. I didn't knew anything about the lean canvas. So I had popped in my head one day, said, well, I asked ChatGPT, are you familiar with the lean canvas? And it said yes. And then I said, can you do a lean canvas for this business idea? And it did it. And I said, can you develop a pitch based on this lean canvas using this template? And it said yes. But that's the way it is for anything. It doesn't matter. Are you familiar with this company? Are you familiar with that company? What is the business model of that company, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah, it's just, the tools are there. And so with the reason why we chose these particular platforms instead of trying to reinvent the wheel ourselves was because these folks have put in the effort and have been working with tens of thousands of founders. So that's why they work. It's not what I'm telling you. It's it's what the experts are telling you, and that's what the training is. I'm just trying to help you understand what the experts are actually telling you. Yeah, and it's just something I wanted to do to give back. Based on all the blessings I had with my startup, and leveraging the ecosystem, to kind of move forward. So it's kind of but it's also a way that it's knowledge that's there available to you. Why not take advantage of it? Because and this is the biggest thing I found working with and interviewing all these hundreds and hundreds of founders over the past 5 years and longer is everybody's busy. Everybody, if you want something, a lot of founders, they're busy taking care of life things. But if you want to get out of that situation that you're in, you have to commit some time to your startup stuff. And using AI, it takes less time. And so so for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to get better. And that's really what the bottom line is. You can keep saying, I'm busy this, and busy that, but it's your life. You're going to keep down the same road, or you're going to put some time to working on your business idea and using these tools that are there that we're making available to you. But yeah, so I'm excited to kind of see people win pitch competitions and bring their ideas to reality. Yeah, and that's pretty neat. So that's all I have for tonight. Next week we're gonna have Derek Fishback. He's from an AWS guy, implementation guy. After that, we're gonna have Ray come on the week after that. He just had a chance to meet with Robert Smith, and so he's all excited. We're looking forward to get some updates from him. And then the week after, we got, I think, lady named Kay Walsh, but she's using 3D printing and to grow her business and designing all kinds of pottery and stuff like that. So we got a few people lined up, but keep reaching out if you, just take advantage of our office hours and Thursday night sessions. That's what we're here for, to help you out. Take care, everybody. We'll see you all next week.